All right, now we're going to move into our no root add 9 pentatonic. Now, this is quite a cool idea because it's basically notes from the A minor type scale, but we actually don't have a root note. We've replaced our root note with the second or the ninth, which is a really nice different sound from our normal minor pentatonic. All the A's have moved up to become B's, if you like. So this one gives quite a kind of airy, modern type vibe to it, adding in the ninth, which incidentally is my favourite note to play solo-wise, in chords, major 9, minor 9, dominant 9, arpeggios. So the ninth gives a really, really nice sound. So this chapter is going to give you some fresh, new sounding licks. Let's go and have a look at these 5 licks. Here's a really nice lick around our position 1, the E shape here of this add 9 pentatonic, no root add 9 should I say. The slightly tricky bit is the sliding bit. The bending bit at the start should feel fairly familiar, but what I recommend is you slide the 5 to 9 on your middle finger, and you slide back 8 to 5 on the second string on your index, and then you do 5, 7 on the A string or the 5th string on your middle, slide back 7, 5 on your ring or your third finger, and then slide into the 5th fret on your index finger, and then the rest of it will fit in. So that will take a little bit of practice because it's kind of back and forward there. There's a lot of these licks in this chapter are quite sliding based, so make sure you don't get muddled with your fingers. Work the lick out beforehand when you're reading the tab. Let's go and have a look at example 2. So I mentioned before in an earlier chapter the importance of subtle repetition with variation. Well, this lick's a good example of that. Every time for the first 3 bars you've got this 10, 9, 10 on the D string with a little pull-off hammer-on idea. Then you've got different notes of the scales coming in after that every time to give the different flavours. And then the very last bar, the 4th bar, you get a little bending lick to resolve a sequence. So it's kind of a fun way of really maximising a few notes because you're repeating them, but you're adding little variations. You're not doing the same note after every time. You're alternating them, and then the 4th time you give the listener some different satisfaction by mixing it up with a bending lick. Really fun idea. Let's go on to example 3. This lick is almost like the start to an instrumental melody type piece. It's really melodic and it's using very subtle techniques. These long swooping bends in the first few bars and the mixture of the vibrato and slides really gives it its flavour. So not a particularly difficult lick, but it's one you can try in multiple different positions to start building a kind of instrumental melody using this add 9 pentatonic scale. Let's go and have a look at example 4. Here's a cool little staccato riff here. Now I recommend using a slightly unusual finger grouping here. I recommend using your middle finger on the 14th fret of the D string, and then obviously your index will be grabbing that 12th fret, and then when you grab the 16th fret on the G string in the second little part of this lick, I recommend using your ring finger, not your little finger, because you're going to be adding vibrato, and generally speaking it's not a great idea to vibrato on your little finger. Always try and vibrato on your ring or your middle finger, depending on what finger you bend on will be the same there. So make sure you copy my fingers as I go through these examples. Let's get on to example 5. Alright, so this lick starts off almost with a very classic rock type phrase, hammering on 3 to 5 on the B string, and then getting the 3rd fret, that G on the top string, and repeating that pattern round and round before mixing it up with the fact that you've got no root notes, you've got no A, so you've got to grab the B there on the top string, that 7th fret. We've got a little Hendrixy twist in bar 2, almost very G majory, getting the 4 on the G string, the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then hammering onto the 5th on the G, and then back to the 4th, and then a little round up kind of lick that you might see very commonly in the G shape. As I've said throughout the other chapters, make sure you put this one up an octave as well. After this, we're going to go on and look at the next chapter. By this point in the book, you're about halfway through these videos, so hopefully you're really getting something from it. Make sure you consolidate and write your own licks as well. That's the most important thing from this book, is to keep it fresh. Don't just copy my ideas, by all means do, but move them around, keep them new, keep them exciting, and keep your lead playing just sounding so fresh and exciting. All right, let's move on.